Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving straight into the sheer depth and power of the absolute longest chapter in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah. This isn't just a chapter. It's literally a massive foundational blueprint that covers everything from the very dawn of human creation all the way to the nitty-gritty laws of running a truly just society.
So we have to ask, what exactly makes these 286 verses act as both a transformative life manual and a renowned spiritual shield? I mean, how does just one single chapter hold so much weight for over 1 billion people across the globe?
To make this massive text super accessible, we're going to break it down into 5 core pillars. We'll look at the ultimate spiritual shield, lessons from human history, practical laws for life, the unmatched power of Ayat al-Kursi, and finally, the final prayers for mercy. Now, the name itself is actually really fascinating. Al-Baqarah translates directly to the cow, which is interesting, right? It grounds us in a very physical, earthly story, specifically a narrative involving the prophet Moses, the children of Israel or Bani Israel, and a specific command they were kind of hesitant to follow. It anchors us right in human stubbornness before zooming way out into deep, universal theology.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the ultimate spiritual shield.
The chapter famously opens with an incredibly bold claim that this is the perfect guide, absolutely without doubt. It immediately categorizes human responses, focusing heavily on those who are deeply mindful of God. It essentially offers this powerful, protective shield of guidance, specifically for those who establish prayer, give charity, and truly believe in the unseen. It sets the absolute ground rules for everything that follows. Moving right along to part 2, lessons from human history. Transitioning from those high-level spiritual concepts, the text dramatically zooms in on the exact sequence of our very creation. It condenses these heavy cosmic narrative verses into the ultimate origin story. We're taken from the absolute dawn of creation, straight through the very first cosmic rebellion, and finally down to our current earthly journey. It's like a grand, sweeping epic. God elevating human beings through the sheer power of intellect and knowledge is such a central theme here. Adam isn't just created, he's educated. He is taught the names of absolutely all things. This goes to show that human potential is unlocked through knowledge, which ultimately sets the stage for all of our earthly trials and responsibilities. But of course, with that creation comes the first major conflict. On one side, we see the angels, representing complete submission and pure humility to the divine command. But on the other side, we have Iblis, or Satan, who straight up refuses to bow to Adam out of pure arrogance and pride. By contrasting these two reactions, the text is warning us right out of the gate. Arrogance, the idea that you are inherently better than someone else, is the absolute root of failure. Fast forwarding a bit, the text then spends a significant amount of time on the history of Bani Israel, and it uses their history not just to point fingers, but to provide us with a mirror. Think of it as a crucial checklist of societal and spiritual missteps to avoid. It reminds us to constantly remember divine favors, to actually honor our promises, to never ever mix truth with lies, and to always seek help through patience and prayer when things get tough. That brings us to part 3, practical laws for life. You see, this chapter covers an unbelievable amount of ground. It essentially acts as a holistic, legal, and ethical framework for the daily life of a believer. We're talking about the mechanics of fasting, strict rules for fair commerce, the really delicate boundaries of marriage and divorce, the absolute necessity of mandatory charity, known as zakat, and even the equitable distribution of inheritance. It covers the whole shebang. Crucially, though, these laws aren't just restrictive rules meant to make life difficult. No, they are explicitly designed to elevate human consciousness. Take the mandate for fasting in Ramadan, for instance. It's not introduced as a punishment at all, but rather as a highly specific tool to cultivate mindfulness, self-restraint, and a much deeper connection to the divine. And this reveals the highly practical nature of the text. Tucked right inside this deeply spiritual chapter is the absolute longest single verse in the entire Quran, verse 282. And get this, it's entirely about how to handle a loan. It gives a literal step-by-step procedure for equitable commerce. Write it down, get reliable witnesses, and strictly avoid usury or exploitative interest. It's a built-in legal safeguard designed specifically to protect the most vulnerable people in society. So the earthly rules, how you trade, how you marry, how you give away your wealth, are directly tied to achieving a higher state of spiritual awareness. In this worldview, you literally cannot be spiritually pure if you are being socially unjust. The two concepts are completely and permanently intertwined.
Let's zoom out again for part 4, the unmatched power of Ayat al-Kursi.
Within this massive chapter, one single monumental verse truly stands out. It's verse 255, known worldwide as Ayat al-Kursi, or the verse of the throne. Let's take a second to really absorb the text here. It is a breathtaking, highly poetic declaration of God's unmatched majesty. It speaks of an ever-living, sustaining force that is never tired, never distracted, and never sleeps. I mean, it's an absolutely overwhelming description of eternal vigilance, because it confirms this absolute divine sovereignty and ultimate power over everything in the heavens and the earth. Reciting this specific verse has become deeply ingrained as a daily practice for millions of people. It is widely believed to be the ultimate spiritual shield against anxiety, fear, and evil. It's a constant, powerful reminder of who is actually in control. And finally, we arrive at part 5, Final Prayers for Mercy. Just think about the incredible journey we've been on. After laying out all these massive responsibilities, recounting the heavy failures of past nations, and establishing strict societal laws, the text beautifully softens. It concludes with this grand finale reaffirming pure belief, establishing unity amongst all the prophets, and delivering a profound plea for boundless divine mercy. And then we get what might be the single most comforting assurance in the entire text. God does not burden any soul with more than it can bear. After everything asked of the believer in the preceding 285 verses, this acts as a cosmic guarantee. It reminds us that no matter the earthly trials, the societal pressures, or the deep spiritual tests, they are absolutely never greater than your own inner capacity to handle them. We really have journeyed through an incredible textual landscape today. We started at the dawn of creation with Adam, navigated the historical missteps of ancient societies, learned the practical, everyday laws needed to run a just world, stood in awe before the majestic verse of the throne, and finally arrived at the ultimate protection of faith and mercy. It truly is a complete manual for the human condition. Knowing all of this, seeing how intricately history, law, and deep spirituality are woven together in this single chapter, well, the final question is entirely up to you. How are you going to apply these timeless lessons, these protective spiritual shields, and these mindful practices to your own daily journey? Take a moment to really reflect on that. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep seeking knowledge.